Great. I think it's actually worked this time. Brill. What a disaster that first attempt was. I think what I might do as well is use a box to bring this up a bit, because it's I'm kind of staring down at it. There we go. Oh, that's much better. Cool. I can see the chat. All is good. Let's just see what I sound like. Check that I sound all right. Those of you that are joining, thank you. I'm just tell me in the chat, can you hear me okay? Or is it no sound? I'm just trying to figure it out myself. I've not done this in a long time. Let's see. Oh yeah, sound okay. Cool. All right, I'll come off of that. It's weird hearing yourself back after a 2-second delay. Great. Thanks for joining, guys. Basically, this is the Q&A, because I've got so much on at the minute with just other video projects, work and whatnot, that I thought, why not just go live and answer all the questions that people ask me and do it that way? Because it's a little bit more community spirited as well, isn't it, than a really edited video. That I always think that when you're watching a video back that's really edited, it's good in its own way, but you kind of lose a bit of that connection. So yeah, I think we're just going to do it this way. So, few announcements. Finally, the channel is monetized, which is awesome. So we've got channel memberships up and running, which I'm looking forward to. I want to build a bit of a community there, and that's going to involve a Discord server, because I figure like I can only really pump videos out once, twice a month tops, and a lot of people want a bit more interaction than that. So I thought it'd be nice to make a bit of a community where we can sort of discuss filmmaking type stuff, YouTube type stuff, all of that sort of thing. So that's up and running now. And yeah, I've got some cool ideas for videos this year too. I'm thinking about doing a bit of a series, which I'll get onto later. First, I want to go through all these questions that people have sent me for this Q&A. Apologies if my voice sounds a little bit worn, because I've been sick basically since a little bit after I made that video. I'm sort of coming out of it now, but yeah, still coughing a bit. So I'm going to be sipping on a drink throughout this as well, which probably isn't going to sound amazing, but it's better than me coughing all the way through. So great. Well, we'll kick off with the first question then. So how do you actually start creating instead of being hung up on getting better gear? I understand the feeling with this one, because I think this is something that I've struggled with for a long time. I was always thinking that I couldn't make the things I wanted to make without a better camera first. And I probably still deal with that to some degree. I probably do still think that from time to time, but I know when I catch myself thinking that isn't actually true. I've seen so many great videos recently that were done with very little. Even there was a film that came out a couple of years ago now. It doesn't feel like a couple of years ago, but it was a sci-fi film, and I can't remember the name of it, but they shot it they shot it using Sony FX3, which granted is more expensive than what I use and what most people use, but it's, in the scheme of things, a pretty affordable camera. It's like $4,000, and they shot a whole Hollywood film on it. So the point is, you can do a lot with only a little. You don't need these big fancy cameras, especially not for YouTube. I don't think. You just need to. I think the most important thing is having an idea creatively of what you're trying to achieve, and how you can go about doing that technique wise rather than gear wise, if that makes sense. So to answer the question, how do you stop being hung up on better gear? Keep reminding yourself that you don't need better gear. You just need to actually get out and do things. Because I think that this is almost like a bit of a procrastination technique, where people, they will tell themselves, oh, I can't do that yet because I need a better camera first. But there's no point in getting a better camera when you're not going out and actually practicing the craft. You know, that'd be like I don't know, that'd be like me buying a load of woodworking equipment and then being like, you know what, I'm not going to bother learning to make anything out of wood until I've bought the highest quality woodworking equipment. And you know, when you say it like that, it sounds stupid, right? But we do that with camera stuff. So basically, just don't do that. Just get out there and do the best you can. Great. Next question. How do you figure out what are your strengths and weaknesses? So 1 second. I've probably made this challenging for myself doing this now, haven't I? So strengths and weaknesses. The video I did where I talked about figuring out what your cards are, the cards you've been dealt in life. I think this is quite a hard thing to do, actually, figuring out what your strengths and weaknesses are in terms of what you can bring to the table with making videos. I don't think that it's easy to be that introspective for the average person. I feel like I'm reasonably good at that now, but that's been through so many years of trial and error and embarrassing situations where I've perhaps thought a little more of myself than what is the reality, or a bit less of myself than what was the reality. And it takes time to figure that stuff out, to really get to know yourself. But I think, yeah, so I guess on on one hand, you need experience. And on the second hand, you've got to be kind of brutal with yourself as well, because even you can live a long life and lie to yourself constantly, telling yourself you're really great at something when in reality you're not. I think we've probably all met people that are older than us, and you can kind of see that what they say they do and what the reality of their life is don't line up. And you don't want to be that person. Basically, you need to be willing to take a long, hard look at yourself and be like, okay, I'm doing well here, I'm not doing well here, so what am I going to do with that? So going back to YouTube, then I'd say it's as simple as writing down all the different things that you spend time doing, all the different things that you think about yourself versus what other people say about you, and then kind of just working out, okay, where are my strengths in this list of things, and then play to those. And if you find weaknesses, then either you can work on those or you can stay away from them. But honesty is the key thing. If you can't be honest with yourself, you'll never figure it out. Comment in the chat. Hi, Tom. What is your goal for 2025? Any new projects upcoming? Yes. Yeah, there are new projects coming up. Oops, just knocked something over. 1 second. So projects coming up. At the moment, I am on the Fired Up course that Sam Dawson does. You might have heard of Sam Dawson. He does sort of content aimed at YouTubers and aspiring content creators. And he kind of focuses very much on not creating things for the algorithm, instead creating things for you that make you happy, which is a really great message that I do agree with to an extent myself. And the reason I'm taking the course is not because I necessarily want to learn anything in terms of camera techniques or anything like that. It's more a case of I want to learn to be a little bit more myself on camera, because I do struggle with that. I think I'm getting better, but I've got room for improvement there, because I'm quite a silly person. And I think on camera I come across as not stern, but I think I come across as a little bit more serious than what I actually am off camera. And I'd like to sort of close that gap a little bit. So that's a goal of mine. Projects wise, I've got in my head a series that I'd like to do, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit in a moment. But the gist of it is that it's with the aim of improving my own skills in making videos, but in a fun way, like an episodic thing where each episode I'm taking on different kinds of filmmaking challenges and bringing you guys along for the ride in like a little story, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, really. So that's the general goal. Outside of YouTube, my goals this year, a lot of it revolves around running a little bit more, because I used to run a lot and I've really fallen off the bandwagon, especially since I've started working for myself doing content creation, Before I was window cleaning, which wasn't my favorite thing, but it kept me pretty active. And now I'm just sat doing editing and not moving a lot. And my fitness has gone downhill a little bit. I'm not terrible, but I've noticed the drop, and I want to change that this year. I want to get back to where I was. So that's this year in a nutshell. I'm sure there'll be other things too, but that's the main bullet points. Another drink. This is going to be the longest live stream ever just because I can't talk. Okay. Whew. Can you keep your creative freedom whilst niching down? Yes. Yeah, you can. Another version of that question is, can you have growth and creative freedom? And yeah, you can. There's a couple of ways to do it. The reason I split them up is because people tend to focus on all of one and not the other. When they go into YouTube, people tend to go all into freedom and expect growth rather than focusing on actually generating it. And I think the only way to generate it is to give the people what they want, give them something to watch that helps them. But there's nothing to say that you can't do that in a way that is still fun for you. For example, one of my ideas for a video, which I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I would like to break down the 3-act narrative structure, that all films use, most films use, by making another film sort of about a marathon, illustrating the act 1, act 2, act 3. But it's basically me running, so I get to go out and do a running video, but it is going to be relevant to making content. And so it ticks 2 boxes. It's something fun for me, but it's also something that's relevant to the viewers. Things like that is one way you can do it. What does it mean to be exceptional? Again, in the video, I mentioned that there are exceptional people. I basically just mean people that are in the top 1%. Most people will be like good-ish at a few things, but not at the level where it's distinction above most other people in the world. So for me, telling stories through vlogs, Casey Neistat is top 1% for sure. For guitar, I reckon Sean Long from While She Sleeps for heavy metal guitar is probably top 1% in the world right now. Don't know about all time, but certainly right now. Things like that. I'm okay at guitar. I'm nowhere near that good. I can play a few riffs. I'm never going to sign a record deal or anything like that because it's just not my focus. And if I'm honest with myself, I don't think I've got that natural ability there either. It took me forever to learn guitar, just over and over and over repetitions, which is how most people learn. And you can get pretty good that way. But I think the truly exceptional people are prepared to do that, the repetitive learning, but they also have the natural edge, and that takes them further than someone with, I guess, a normal level of ability is ever going to go, even if they try hard. And that's just the way it is. We've all got things we're good at. We've all got things that we're not so good at. So that's what I mean by exceptional. Just found you this week. I love your stuff. Just started my channel and I love learning from you and others. Thanks. You're welcome. Thank you. Hi from India. Hello back. What part of India? Gujarat, Punjab. I know a few people from around that area, but I've never been. How can I be unique and stand out in a niche? I think it's just got to come down to finding out what. I think that if you bring your personality into it is how you stand out. I think when people ask that, they're saying, how can I make something in this niche that no one's ever made before? And that's probably not going to happen. Everyone in this niche has made a video about how to be cinematic. That everyone has done that. But you can do it in your own way, and I think that's how you stand out and be unique in a niche. You just got to show your own personality, and part of that is going back to the strengths and weaknesses, figuring out what they are, and then showing them, and also bringing your hobbies in too. That's how I would go about doing it and how I am trying to go about doing it. But it's a work in progress, right? You just got to keep chipping away at it and not give up. That's the main thing. Otherwise, you'll never be in the niche, because you will have stopped making videos out of frustration. But definitely don't expect that you're necessarily going to come up with anything truly original, because it's all been done before. You've just got to do it your own way. Bengaluru Karnataka. I don't know if I said that right. Apologize if I've completely butchered that. I've not heard of that before, that region. Bengal just reminds me of a tiger. But that's about all I know. But nice to have you in the chat anyway. Thank you for watching. What's your next video? I'm not too sure myself, but it's going to be the first episode of this series. But due to the nature of the series, which I'll get onto later, I don't fully know what the video is going to be yet, because I'm doing a series of filmmaking challenges to put myself through, but I'm not going to know what the challenge of that video is going to be until I draw it from a deck of cards with all the challenges written on. So I have no idea what that video is going to be yet, but I think that's fun. It adds a bit of suspense. I don't know what it's going to be, and neither does anyone. How can you post consistently with a full-time job? Well, you're going to have to give up your spare time. I think there's a reason I don't post once a week, and it's because I like my spare time and I like seeing my friends and family. If you have a full-time job and a family and friends, but you want to post every week, you've either got to do something easy, kind of like what I'm doing now with this live stream. I can knock this out in an hour, and it's not going to be amazing quality. But yeah, that's right, chat. Lower your expectations for the videos. You do. You've got to, if you're expecting that you're going to make something that is cinema level quality once a week, and you're working a full-time job and you've got all these other responsibilities, it's not going to happen realistically. So either you got to massively lower the quality of the videos in their technicality. It could still be high quality with what you say, but you've got to make sacrifices somewhere, right? Or if you really want to put that quality in, it's going to be saying no to going out, saying no to watching TV in the evenings, things like that. You've got to find the time somewhere. So yeah, that's how you do it. It's not a fun, sexy answer, is it? But that is the truth. So next question: how can you prevent, combat, and overcome burnout? I think that this is, and I'm going to use a running analogy. You have a speed that you can sprint at, but you can't keep that up for long. And it's the same if you're running a 5K. You can run a 5K much quicker than you can run a marathon, but you can't run a 5K as fast as you'd sprint. You can't sprint the whole thing. It's got to be just like a fast run, but not sprinting. And I think if you want to be consistently posting and not burning out, you need to find that pace that you're comfortable with, your marathon pace. My marathon pace, if you were to see me running just from like 100 meters at marathon pace, it looked like I was having the most leisurely run in the world. I'm not going quick, but because I'm not going quick, I can go far. And I think that's how you prevent and combat and overcome burnout. When it's making videos, you've got to find a level of quality that you can sustain, that you can sustainably output, and a frequency of making videos that you can output to. And that way you're not going to burn out. If you're pushing yourself to do the equivalent of a sprint or a really fast 5K run over a marathon distance when it comes to making videos, like let's say I tried to pump out a really high quality video once a week, I could maybe keep that going for 2-3 weeks if I really went for it. And I would massively annoy my wife in the process, because I'd have no time to spend with her or do any of the things that I need to do. I probably wouldn't get enough work done either. So I would obviously burn out from that, and I would have to stop anyway, even if I didn't. So it's pacing. You gotta find a pace that suits you, and if you find the right pace, you'll be able to keep it going without burning out. And you should also do stuff that you don't hate making, because that'll burn you out too. So enjoy it and pace yourself. You'll be all good. How do I make a boring niche exciting and engaging, like the outdoors? Uh, You know, I don't think that's a boring niche personally. Um, I've not seen the content, but could it be you're doing it in a way that you think people want to watch, but you're not enjoying making it? And so that's, that it's kind of coming across, you're thinking, oh, this is boring. My recommendation would be whatever the videos you're making, do it in a way that's fun for you. And if you do it in a way that's fun for you, then your enthusiasm is going to come across within that. You're gonna you're gonna kind of have an infectious nature about the way you present, and if you're having fun, the audience has fun. You will find people that are interested in what you do, whatever it is. If I started a knitting channel, there would be an audience for that, but they wouldn't watch because I don't like the idea of knitting, and so I'd be completely bored doing it and not very enthusiastic, and no one would watch it. So I think the answer to the question is, yeah, you've got to do it in a way that is fun for you, and just the audience will come in time. Extreme sports could be boring to one person, and knitting could be boring to another. Yeah, there we go. We said the same thing at the same time. And thank you. Yes, the video with the drawing. I want to have more fun with growth. Would you post a bad video for experience and growth, or only post quality stuff? Ooh. So from my point of view, this right now, this live stream, this is, from a technical point of view, low quality, but I'm hoping that just as something to listen to in the background while people are doing other stuff, that they'll still be able to get value out of it. So the quality's there somewhere. It's just I'm maybe not as articulate as I'd like to be. The lighting and the camera isn't quite as good as I'd like it to be, but it's it's something, and it'll help some people, and it'll answer the questions people have asked me too. So yeah, I think find a way to do it that you're happy with. I don't think posting videos with the intention of getting growth is a bad thing, but I think if you're posting something that you're unhappy with for growth, then that's a bad thing. But you might be happy with posting something that's like a bit of a lower quality just for the sake of putting something out there. And if you're happy with that, then I'd say go for it. Will consistently posting eventually create an audience who cares about you as the niche? Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't know that I know the answer, to be honest. I would like to think so, but the size of that audience is another question. If you're thinking, if I just consistently post, and eventually I'm going to get an audience that cares about me and will watch anything I put out there, and no one knows who you are, and there's no real theme, you're probably never going to grow enough for that to develop. I think you have to get the growth in there first, to be honest. You have to build the audience, and then if that audience likes you and likes watching your stuff, it's going to give you more freedom in the future to just drop little passion projects now and again, and you'll always get the fans that really enjoy tuning in will watch it anyway. And I think you get the freedom after you put the work in. It's kind of like a relationship, right? You're trying to build a relationship with a potential audience, and if you just go in there just doing whatever you want from day one and never really offer anything in return, it's kind of like if you ask someone out on a date, and then every time you saw them you were just expecting it to be all about you. It's not going to last. I think it's the same thing. You've got to be a friend to get a friend, and I think you've got to serve the audience a little bit if you want an audience. So yeah, I don't think you need the it factor either. I think you just be yourself. As long as you're giving something to the audience, I think eventually you'll get there. But just again, don't expect that it's going to be millions of people tuning in like Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon back in the day. I feel like Pete's kind of going through a bit of a spot where he's kind of finding what he wants to do, and it looks like he might have landed on it for this year. So I'm looking forward to watching what he does. But definitely the last couple of years, he's kind of been a little bit all over the place with what he's posted. But yeah, you just got to find your way. Don't expect it to come overnight. Just have fun with it. I think it all comes back to that. Are you having fun? Are people enjoying watching you, enjoying yourself? That's the main thing. Can YouTube stats be wrong? I think they're pretty spot on. I think they're delayed sometimes, but I don't think they're wrong. Sometimes it just takes a while for them to update. Maybe I hit 4,000 watch hours on this channel maybe a week ago, but it took me until today to get the channel monetized because it just didn't update quick enough that I actually had the 4,000 watch hours in the area of the studio that I needed it to. How did it feel to have that video blow up? It was cool. It was a little bit overwhelming because, you know, I've had videos on another channel do well before, but I don't think I've ever had that many comments on a video in such a short space of time. And so at the start, I was trying to answer them all, and I eventually realized like I can't do this because I, I'm just going to be sat on my phone all the time, just answering comments as they're coming in. I think at the height of the video, it was getting 400, 500 views an hour when it was going its fastest. And I was getting several comments. If I could pull it down and refresh, there'd be a new comment. And I was thinking I could be sat here all night. So I need to just find another way to answer people's questions, which is kind of what led to this. It was cool though. It was cool to see that the video helped people. I think that was my big takeaway, is that people were saying, oh, this was really refreshing to have it explained in such a down-to-earth way. And that's what I was going for. I wanted to just explain it in like a really normal way rather than all these fast edits and here's what you need to do to blow up on YouTube. I went through the phase of watching all that stuff, and now it makes me cringe because they all say the same thing, and it's not that they're even wrong. I just don't think it's helpful to listen to that over and over and over again, because once you've learned it, right? Yeah, so you don't need to keep looking at how to make a good thumbnail. You just need to or write a good title. You just need to trial and error it yourself. I don't really think that you need to keep watching those tutorial videos, you know. I think it's more important to focus on being happy. Yes, I'm talking about the I failed at YouTube video. So yeah, it felt good. It felt good that it blew up and it helped people. It also scared me a little bit because now part of me is worried that YouTube's going to pigeonhole my channel as like a YouTube education channel, and this really isn't that. This is me practicing filmmaking and trying to help other people make better videos, but I'm not that interested in the YouTube algorithm really. I'll probably talk about it now and again, but but yeah, since that video is now the biggest video on the whole channel, now I'm thinking, oh no, is that what people are going to want me to talk about every time? I guess we'll see, but I'm not going to anyway. So I guess that'll sort itself over time. I'll probably absolutely bomb on views on the next video, but as long as it's fun to make, then I guess that's all that matters, right? Yeah, I think again, yeah, not having all the jump cuts, it helps people concentrate, right? I feel like I've watched those videos before, the really fast edited ones, and at the end of the video I've not really retained the information that they've said, because your mind's just constantly being interrupted by what's on the screen. I think if you want to learn something, it's much better to just hear it and not have all of that in there, because I think it distracts people from what's being said. Retention's probably great, you know, people probably watch to the end, and that's good for the creator, but if the person that's watched to the end hasn't actually gained anything because they've just had their attention span constantly reset all through the video, it's not helped the viewer. So in that situation, it's like I would rather have more of a drop off in retention, but the few people that watch to the end actually learn something, than edit all the way through and make it really, really fast paced and have better retention, but all the people that got to the end didn't really learn anything. That doesn't seem very helpful to me. So yeah, that's why that was that way. How do some people like Ali Abdaal have multiple niches? I think that people like Ali Abdaal focus on one area of their interest for a period of time, and then they pivot. And occasionally they still serve that old audience. So they're constantly growing new audiences. And overall, you'll get to a point where you have, you know, what's Ali Abdaal got? 4 million subscribers, 5 million subscribers. Let's find out. Ali Abdaal. 6 million subscribers. But if I go on his channel, all of his videos get, on average, I'd say maybe 500,000. A lot of them are less than 200,000 actually. So out of those 6 million subscribers, they're not all watching because they've all subscribed for different things. So yes, it's a multi-niche channel, but yeah, he's only got so many returning viewers per video because his subject constantly changes. So there's only so many out of that are going to tune in and watch again. So you can do that, but I think it's wise to do that later on. You know, grow an audience first. You'll have a few people that will watch whatever you put out because they like your vibe and they're willing to just keep watching, and that will help you then build your next audience. And you can do it that way if you want multiple niches, but you can't just start out posting anything and everything from, you know, 0 subscribers and expect that'll work. I don't think that's how it works at all, because YouTube's not going to be able to figure out what your channel's about. How can I grow my audience in a hyper specific niche? So that was in this particular question, it was a channel about local town weather and animals. I would say that in this situation, you've got to be honest with yourself about, of all the potential viewers that are out there, if you're making videos about your town and the weather in your town, realistically, how many people are going to watch that, you know, in the world? Probably not many. Maybe if you lived in a major city like London, you'd get a couple more because London is somewhere that everyone knows. But if it's just like I used to live in a town called Colville. If I made a channel all about Colville's weather, most of Colville wouldn't watch it. So I would never expect that people outside of Colville would then also want to watch it. But if I really enjoyed doing that, who cares? Just carry on making it. If that's fun for you to do, making videos about the weather in your town, go for it. Just keep doing it. Yeah, I think it, but if you want to grow, then you might want to try and figure out where the broad appeal is. So maybe rather than making it all about your town, you could make the channel about weather in general and do little deep dives or something, whatever's fun for you. But yeah, growth wise, if you're just making videos about the weather in your town, you're probably not going to grow. So if growth is the target, I would look at diversifying what you do. Maybe lean more into the animals, because everyone loves animals. Most people love animals. That's probably a better way to go about it. But yeah, I think if growth is less important to you and you just want to enjoy it and you happen to love doing that, then just do that. I don't think growth has to be the target every single time. I hope that helps. Yeah, so to summarize, find the broad appeal, and that's probably not going to be weather in your town. It's probably going to be either weather in general or animals in general, and then go from there. Can you succeed as a faceless YouTube channel? Totally, you can. There's loads of people that do that. The first one that springs to mind is Charisma on Command. They did this. I don't think they've really posted a lot lately, but they did this channel where they were taking scenes from films and TV shows or celebrity interviews, and they were showing human interaction and how people's behavior, sort of how their interactions work on a psychological level. And they teach these skills, like how to be more charismatic, how to win an argument without looking like a jerk, things like that. But they would do it by breaking down interviews, movie scenes, things like that. And it was really interesting, but you never saw the guy's face. It was all just voiceover, and that channel did millions of views, millions. So yeah, you can definitely do it. You just got to find a way, once again, to make it broadly appealing. I do think having humans in the videos helps. So like with that channel, that people were still seeing humans in the videos because it was films and TV shows. And yeah, I think that helps. Or really nice, captivating animation also. If you're doing explainers, things like that. I think if it's just, text appearing on a screen, you might struggle. But even then, there's ways. There was a gaming channel that pivoted to doing like sort of Discord conversations. I can't for the life of me remember what the name of the guy is now. Beluga, I think. Again, there was no face in that. It was just messages appearing, but you're like watching a story, and it's kind of like gossipy or silly or whatever. So that was captivating as well in its own way. So you can be successful with it for sure. Do you want to be a filmmaker one day? What's your end goal? I don't really have any aspirations of being a filmmaker in terms of me one day making a film. No. My end goal is I just really enjoy doing this as a hobby. And well, I say as a hobby, it's now also my job. But I think saying filmmaking for my job is probably a little misleading. I make videos for corporate clients, basically. But a lot of them are a little more on the vloggy side. So I'll go out and I will film events and testimonials and things like that. And yeah, it can be a lot of fun, but it's fast paced at times too. It can be pretty hard work. So my end goal basically with all of this is to get better at the craft myself, so that what I make for other people is good and they're happy with it. And also to pass on the things I learned to other people. So yeah, the thing that helped me get my first jobs was just basically I learned the basics, so I could actually do something. I wasn't really good. I just knew more than the average person. My first jobs were editing jobs, and I look back on those edits now, and I'm like, oof. But the person at the time was happy with them, because most people don't do editing. They just want something to put out there on socials. So that's how I started. I messaged around all of my friends and was like, I'm going into this. This is what I want to do. If you know anyone, or if you want any help with your business and putting things out on the internet, little video edits and things like that, let me know. I'll do it. Offer to work for free at the start, especially. You might find that people are actually still happy to pay you a bit, because a lot of people are, even if it's just a small amount. But yeah, now that person that I started doing those early edits with, I do loads of work with them now, and my work that I produce for them now compared to at the start, it's miles apart. It's way better. Yeah, so it progresses over time. You've just got to keep at it and keep putting yourself out there, which you're going to deal with things like imposter syndrome, and you're going to feel like, oh, I'm not good enough to do that. I can't ask someone if I can do a job for them. But you've got to start somewhere. One day you will be asking someone if you can do a job for them, and that will be the first time you ask. So you may as well ask early on and just be realistic about what you're able to produce. If someone asks you to produce a documentary for them and you've never done a job before, it's probably too much. But if someone asks you to edit up some mobile phone footage into a nice catchy little YouTube short or TikTok or something, well, that's more manageable. You could probably do that as your first job. So you just got to get the experience in there. This is my second channel as well. So yes, this was sort of made along with me starting that job, but I gained the editing experience on a previous channel doing Minecraft tutorials. So that's kind of how I started all of this off. It's weird to think, actually, that me playing Minecraft in lockdown and making tutorials for YouTube turned into this being my job. It's very strange. It's funny how life goes. Next question. Should I make a second channel for random videos? If you want to. Yeah, I actually think that's quite a good idea. I've considered doing it myself. I did actually make another channel, but I don't really post on it. I occasionally make a little running vlog and that'll probably go up on there just because it's, you know, it's just off my phone. It's low quality. It's nothing to do with anything I do on this channel. But I also kind of like it to have a home so that I don't have to keep it on my phone. And then I can send it to people if people do want to watch it. So I'm expecting no growth from that channel at all, but it's there. So yeah, good idea if you want to do that. Just I would say though, don't split your attention between two channels. Making a second channel for random videos. If you're trying to grow, focus on one and have the random channel just be something you use now and then for a little bit of a creative outlet. I think that's the best way. What's the best mobile video editing app, specifically for adding music? And is there a better way to edit and upload videos rather than doing it all on a phone? I think I don't use my phone a lot to edit. I would say that if you can, switch to using a computer. I know that's not an option for everyone. So if you can't do that, then you're kind of going to be stuck with editing on your phone and uploading on your phone, and it is what it is. But definitely using a computer, I would recommend it 100%, especially if you want to develop as an editor. I think you need to make that transition personally. I use DaVinci Resolve on the laptop because I really like the color grading features, and it's a pretty decent editor too. And it's free. I have now bought the paid version because I wanted all the extra fusion effects that you don't get, because that's something I want to grow into learning to do. But yeah, the free version's almost got everything. So it's really good. You just need a bit of a beefy computer to run it. What about having a different playlist instead of a separate channel? Yeah, you could do that. I do think though that if you're scattering the videos on your channel between topics a little too much, that's probably going to confuse the algorithm, and it's going to maybe have a harder time finding the right audience for you. But there's nothing to say you couldn't do that. I used to post everything to this channel now, and the random videos I'd post them as unlisted and just have a playlist where people could watch those videos if they wanted to, but it wasn't going on the homepage. So you could do that. Yeah, I don't really know that I'm particularly an expert in that area. I just know that you need to kind of stick to one topic to grow. That's for most people. Sorry, I didn't answer what's the best mobile video editing app. Again, I don't know what the best is. I use one called InShot, which that's Android. I don't know if Apple has it. Yeah, I think the InShot's pretty good. There's probably all sorts. I think there is a mobile version of Premiere as well by Adobe. So things like that. If you've heard of the company, or if on the App Store it's got loads of good reviews, it's probably going to be decent. But again, if you really want to grow as an editor, I do think you need to switch to a computer. That's my personal opinion. Do I have a full-time job? I'm self-employed, so it's kind of, I have as much work as what comes in. So some months that's pretty quiet and I might be doing less. Other months I'm sort of chasing my own tail, trying to get everything done. December, I barely took any time off, which usually people have the week off at the end of the year, don't they? But I was sort of working days through that as well, which is not unusual. People do have to do that, I know. But I was really looking forward to having that week off. But I'd got so bogged down with work earlier in the month and a few things going wrong that I just lost time over. I had to go back and basically fix things that had gone wrong. So yeah, sometimes it is a full-time job. Sometimes it's more than a full-time job. Sometimes you're putting loads of time into it, and then other times you got less on than you'd like, and it all kind of balances out as long as on the big months you don't spend all your money thinking, oh great, I'm rich now, because you might have a quiet month afterwards and then you've already spent it all. So I think that's the key. Thank you. Thanks for joining. And this whole stream will be up afterwards anyway, if you want to catch up on where you left off. How do you make catchy thumbnails? I think different things work for different people. I think for me, what I like best is a really clean nicely edited photo, maybe with some text in there. But if there is text in there, it's always, I try and make it these days always the same font, usually, and I try and have it not be overwhelming. It's, you know, you've probably seen thumbnails before where there's paragraphs almost written into the thumbnail. And for me, I'd rather just have like 1 or 2 words, really, because I think having loads in there, the thumbnail gets so busy that if you're just scanning past it visually on the homepage, you just see sort of like this blur of images, and you just dismiss it. Whereas if it's a nice clean image, your brain really quickly recognizes it and understands it. So I think the simpler the better. If you can stare at a thumbnail and instantly know what that video is about without having to read all these different lines of text, and without having to look at a ton of different images all chopped together in a weird way, I think that you're more likely to click if you've kept it simple. So that's what I do. I try and keep it crisp, high quality, and simple, and keep text to a minimum. Sometimes I make the text big, but it's usually only 1 or 2 words. How to go viral fast? Shorts? ? I don't know. That's the truth. I really don't know how to go viral. It's happened to me sometimes. I say viral with air quotes, because that video with 1.2 million views on my other channel, that looks, if you just see 1.2 million views and the channel's got 5,000 subscribers, you're like, oh yeah, that went viral. But it took it like 2-3 years to get to the point where it had 1.2 million views, and that's all come from search results. And the reason that it did that well is because when I searched that particular topic on YouTube, all of the tutorials for that particular thing were all like 5 to 10 minutes long. And it's a really easy thing to do. So I was like, I'm just going to make a tutorial that's 1 minute, because I knew that people would be impatient and they'd see all these 5 to 10 minute tutorials and be like, oh, I don't want to watch 10 minutes of someone's video for such a simple thing. And then they'd find my one that's 1 minute and they'd click that instead. So that was very deliberate, you know, like that's why I did that. And I think that's why it succeeded in that case. With the case of the other one, the one that I've posted on this channel recently that's got 50k views. Thanks, Cooper. Thank you very much. Nice to have you here. That one, the YouTube tutorial, if you like, I knew it was a good topic. I knew people were interested in that. Honestly, I expected it to maybe get 1,000 or 2,000 views. That's kind of where I thought it'd land. I didn't think it was going to get 50,000, purely for the reasons that it actually ended up doing well, which I think is the fact that it wasn't hyper edited and it was a bit more conversational. I thought that would hold it back, but it turns out it actually was a positive. So I'll probably do that a little more in the future, because I enjoy doing that more anyway. I don't really like the fast edits for something like that, like I said before. So yeah. What have we got? One more question. No, 2 more questions. What happened on day 4 of the video release when it popped off? I don't really know. I did change the title several times. Yeah, so I guess that helped maybe. But if I was going to put my finger on anything, it may have been that I added video chapters or something. I don't know. Sometimes video chapters give the algorithm more information to work with, but I don't know that it was that. I think ultimately I think it was the fact that people enjoyed watching it because it was conversational. If people are watching to the end, then YouTube's going to recommend it to more people because it likes watch time. So I think it was that. And I think it just took it took 4 days for it to happen, probably just because it needed to churn its way through however many people before YouTube was like, oh, people like this, and then boosted it. So long answer short, I don't know, but I think it was the genuine nature of the video ultimately. Maybe some of the metadata, but I don't think that's that important. Which camera / lens do you use? Well, right now I'm using a laptop. so it probably does not look as good as it usually does. But I generally use a Sony ZV-E1, or I used to use a Sony A7 III, but the microphone jack broke on it, so I ended up buying a new camera. I still use that one though from time to time. And I've since realized actually that I could have just got a hot shoe microphone and saved myself quite a lot of money. But having two cameras has helped with work. So, you know, it's not that bad. How much watch time did I get from that video alone? Do you know, I think I got nearly the 4,000 watch hours just on that video, which is mental, isn't it? It shocked me. I wasn't expecting it to do that well at all. I'll tell you in a second. Let's have a look. I'm just bringing up the stats now. So it's on 56,000 views. Okay, so it's not quite there. Watch time hours, it's 3,500, which is crazy, isn't it? So if it's still getting views now, so it may well hit the 4,000 watch hours just on that. Yeah, that's all it takes. And I think, and I've also gained 1,000 subscribers off of it. So, you know, that one video alone was enough to get monetized off of, or will be enough to get monetized off of, which is insane. But at the same time, would it have got that many views had I not already got a bit of an audience and a catalog of videos to go with it? Maybe not, you know. So it's all very well me saying, oh, it only takes one video, but did it really? It probably took all the other ones as well. It's just this one was the one that got a bit more attention. Yeah, so cameras, Sony ZV-E1, A7 III. My drone is a DJI Mini 2, but I'm looking to upgrade that soon because I have crashed it so many times and it still works, but it's a little temperamental now. I sort of, sometimes when it's flying, it does this little jitter where it sort of like shakes a bit and then it sorts itself out. And I'm like, one day, if I don't replace that, I'm going to have that out on a job and it's going to just go crazy and hit someone or something. And then I'm going to be in a world of trouble. So it needs replacing, I think. It's cool for, I think it'd be fine for a hobbyist to, if I sold it secondhand, it still works. So I think it'd be fine for a hobbyist to use, but I don't trust it for work anymore, really. So I need to upgrade that. More money. But yeah. Oh, hi Connor. Yeah, Connor's seen it crash a couple of times. Yeah, it is all for a good cause. It's had some real good use out of it, that drone has. Do you know what's done it? Is that I was doing a job where I was filming some scaffolding recently, and I'm sure I knew this in the back of my head somewhere, but metal affects the compass inside of the drone, and which it uses to navigate. And so I'm flying around this scaffolding, and as soon as I was getting close to it or trying to go underneath it to get some cooler shots, it just kept flying off in random directions and crashing into stuff. I must have crashed it 6 or 7 times on that job. I'm amazed it still works. But yeah, I then realized what the issue was. It's because of all the metal. I can't get that close to the scaffolding without it crashing. And so, yeah, I guess that's the end of that. You know, no more flying it under scaffolding or close to scaffolding, and probably an upgrade needed now as well. But never mind. I did want to upgrade it anyway, to be fair, so it's not the end of the world. So I think that is all the questions. So what I'm going to do now, if you've got any more questions in chat, I will continue to answer those, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what my plan is for the rest of this year, video-wise. Ever looked into learning FPV? I've looked into it. I love the idea of it. I don't have the money, the spare money to invest in that now, because it's not, some of the FPV drones are pretty cheap, but then all the controllers and stuff that go with it, I'm going to be spending at least £1,000, I reckon, to get a decent FPV setup that's reliable. And then there's learning it, which is time, which I'd be happy to invest if I'd got jobs booked in that needed it. But at the end of the day, I don't at the moment. And I think it's more important for me to just replace the standard drone that I've got rather than get an FPV one. I'd like to get the Mini 4 Pro. I think that's going to be for the sort of work I do, I think that's going to be more useful immediately. But it's not to say I won't do FPV in the future. I do think it's really cool, and I really, really love the concert videos that you get people do with them now, where they're doing like circle flights around the mosh pits and they're going in between the legs of the performers and stuff, just like crazy shots. It looks so cool. I don't know that I would have the balls to do that myself. That's some quite daring shots, but it looks amazing. So videos for the rest of this year, I am thinking of setting myself up with a filmmaking challenge series. And what I mean by that is I've got a deck of cards. I've not brought it down with me actually, but this deck of cards, it's a standard like bicycle deck of cards, but it's all blank. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write different filmmaking challenges on them. And then for each of these episodes, I'm going to get my wife to shuffle the cards up and I'm going to pick one out. So I won't know what the video is about until I look at the card, and then it will say what my challenge is for that video. And each challenge will be with the aim of improving my skills as a filmmaker, but also in a way that's entertaining for everyone else to watch. You know, like it's not going to be like challenge, make a viral video, because like who cares? It's boring, and all it would be is me making something and then showing the results of waiting for it to go viral and then maybe it going viral. And that's not really me. It's going to be things like recreating scenes from movies with all of my stuff, which is like nowhere near enough by I guess industry standards to make the videos, but I reckon if with enough creativity you could probably get close if you were willing to work hard at it. So that is kind of where I'm going with this. So for example, I've got the idea of perhaps having like a challenge where I have to make a 2-minute film sequence or cinematic sequence using only a phone, create a film noir style film in 24 hours, things like that. You know, very YouTube-y sounding titles, but then it'll be done in my own way, and hopefully it'll be really fun for everyone to watch. And I think I'll learn a lot from doing it as well, because the idea with it is to really push my abilities past where I'm comfortable. So I think that's going to be fun. You know, I'm going to learn a lot. I'm probably going to be incredibly frustrated at parts of it, but yeah, that's going to be cool. But I'll also be doing stuff like this. I quite like this live stream thing and having a chat going. So, and it's good for me to get to chat to you guys in real time a little bit as well. So I'm looking forward to doing more of this and just building a bit more of a community. So yeah, that's the plan for the channel for this year. And yeah, if you've not seen, and if you're interested, there is channel memberships up and running now. It's £9 a month, which I think is probably like $11-12. I don't really know what it works out at, but there's a few perks on YouTube. But the main thing is that there's a Discord server, and on that Discord server, my plan is to basically be chatting with people that join it a little more, and trying to help out where I can, and get a bit of a community going there. And part of what I'll be doing is every now and then I'm going to do filmmaking challenges that the community can also take part in, because I think that'd be really fun. You know, if I think of an idea and then over the next month, everyone, or however long, everyone in that community or a lot of the people in that community are all trying to make the same thing, and then we can all see each other's videos at the end of it. I think that would be really cool. Sort of get a bit of encouragement from peers all around the world, everyone trying to do the same thing, because this is quite a lonely hobby at times, right? You're kind of, I know a lot of the people in my own life enjoy seeing what I put up on the internet, but if I was to ever ask them, do you want to make a video with me, they'd be like, oh, I don't know, like, because it's not everyone wants to be on camera, you know, and I get that. I actually feel quite uncomfortable being on camera a lot of the time, but I love making the videos so much that I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to put myself on the camera for the sake of making the video. So for me, it's worth it. And the more I've done it, the less uncomfortable I've felt. But it's definitely not for everyone. So yeah, with that in mind, I kind of just want to make a bit of a community of people that are all perhaps not got many people to make videos with in their own life, but this online community will be somewhere where everyone can get involved, basically, and egg each other on, give each other help. So that's the plan. And we're now at 1 whole hour. Brilliant. I think we've covered everything. I enjoyed this. I would like to do this again as well. So thanks everyone that tuned in. If you only tuned in for part of it and you want to watch the rest of it, which is just me answering the questions that I was asked with the last video and chatting a bit about what I've got going on, then feel free. The live stream will be up basically after this is done. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time I do this, or in the next video, or maybe even in the membership Discord server if you fancy it. So cheers, guys. Catch you again.